I'm actually standing inside one of the great religious houses of England. In fact, this vast expanse of ruins once represented a vital part of the economy of this area of Thetford in Norfolk. But before we actually go on with an investigation and touch base with some of the historical background of this remarkable location, a short while earlier on our way up here, we stopped over at the village of Great Livermere in Suffolk to meet up with one of England's greatest ghost tellers, a man by the name of Montague Rhodes James, and here is my report. It is seldom that in life you get the opportunity to pay homage to one of your heroes, and I think for me, one of my literary heroes is a man by the name of Montague Rhodes James, more commonly known as the author M.R James, who is regarded as the father of the antiquarian ghost story. He was an academic. He spent much of his life at university and he ended his days at Eton. But for the best part of 40 years, his family had the living here. His father was a priest. He arrived here at the age of 3 with his family and was associated with this village for over 40 years. In fact, his art of writing ghost stories was legendary. Apart from being a great scholarly academic into medieval life, no doubt he had a certain acting ability because he used to enthrall and entrance his students with his stories which he had written especially for them. He also based many of his other stories on locations associated or known to him through his family and friends, Oldborough in Suffolk being one other place that comes to mind. But the main thing about Montague Rhodes James was that he wrote a template for the modern ghost story. Many of M.R James's works have been adapted for television. 2 of his compositions were written around this village. One was called A Vignette and the other was entitled simply Rats. So one can imagine what an honour it must have been to be in the presence of this great man. And although he died at Eton and was buried there, a plaque remains today to the genius of Montague Rhodes James inside St Peter's Church. And now we're returning back to Thetford, which is the seat for today's investigations and ghostly historical connections. That was certainly an interesting visit to the home of M.R James, a man who for many, many years has entertained me with his wonderful ghost stories. And now we are actually standing inside the remains of a Cluniac priory which was built in the 12th century right in the middle of Thetford in Norfolk. As with many ancient and abandoned sites across Britain, and this site was abandoned in the year 1540 after the dissolution of the Catholic Church in England, one can imagine the ghostly legends that have attached themselves to these places. Some of those perhaps were created deliberately to keep people away, to stop people causing a nuisance or damaging the site, or perhaps for more nefarious activities such as smuggling. On the other hand, There is also a lot of residual energy left over from the period in which the monks were here. And certainly in 1937, a group of people passing through here one evening could hear monks singing, and also heard a monk reading from some ghostly text. And of course, more recently in 1991, a group of teenagers passing through here also could hear ghostly music. And not only that, they actually saw a monk, and they were attracted to his presence by the sound of keys clanking in the darkness. And you can imagine the sheer terror that they must have suffered before they decamped from this location very quickly. Unfortunately, the site is owned by English Heritage, and so after 6 p.m. at night, the entire site is shut down. But it still does not stop people from climbing in here to carry out their own investigations. Although for ourselves tonight, we have another but very special location in Thetford Forest itself. And let's not forget more recent history. We have the Bell Hotel, or the Bell Inn. We actually called in there earlier today to see whether or not we could get interviews or perhaps film inside the location. But the staff we spoke to, having heard these reputations and ghostly tales, claim that none of this has affected them and that they haven't experienced any activity whatsoever. Although they did say if you go into the cellars down below where it's very cold and very damp, there is a pervasive atmosphere in there which is particularly scary and something which makes the staff feel very uncomfortable about before they have to depart from the cellars very quickly. So unfortunately, as much as I would love to be able to investigate some of the legends attached to the Bell Inn, I can report that a member of staff was allegedly locked in by ghostly hands into a room, and that there is a lady who has been, shall we say, in residence for a number of years who haunts the premises. But unfortunately, of course, again, because it is a commercial business and because there is a lot of people passing in and out, it wasn't a practical location for us to be able to carry through any type of investigation. And just one more other thing I'd like to cover for our American friends. The great Thomas Paine originated from Thetford before moving to London and eventually to America, where he ignited the spirit of the revolution which occurred in 1776. And Paine today is a favoured son of the actual town, and if you travel around there are plenty of monuments and plaques to this great man. So all in all, the Thetford site is for many, many reasons a great place to explore. But perhaps to a degree the town has been contaminated by the modern world, and from my point of view that does not make for a good paranormal investigation. I'm actually standing inside a very unusual and perhaps unique building. This dates from the 13th century and is a solid squat tower. It has 2 stories. We have an upper floor and a lower floor, and many people would probably think that this was some kind of a prison. Well, in fact, it's actually a warrener's lodge. A warrener was a person employed to catch wild rabbits as game for food. And the reason they built this unusual building was because this land was owned by the priory at Thetford, and the warreners were being attacked by roaming gangs for the game that they had actually caught, or they were attacked by poachers. So in order to defend this position and to save their lives, the abbot had this unusual building erected. After the dissolution in 1540, the whole building was handed over into the estates of the Howard family. And the Howard family kept and maintained this structure until the early part of the 20th century. And over the centuries, the forest here was regarded as one of the best for catching wild rabbits. And what would happen is that on the upper floor, the warrener or the hunting party would sleep, and on the lower floor, the dead rabbits would be stored for transportation back to Thetford the following day. It has a number of ghostly tales attached to it. One, I think, was perhaps created as a method to keep people away from here, and the other is perhaps a more chilling tale, which I will share with you. The one I think that was confectured was the tale of the white rabbit with the red glowing eyes, and believe me or not, this is quite a savage beast. It's alleged that should you see this white rabbit with the red glowing eyes, you would die within 24 hours. I personally think that the story is a little bit far-fetched. I haven't heard of anybody who's actually suffered from this terrible calamity of seeing this frightful apparition of a rabbit. But certainly there's another story, which is one that I'm hoping we can follow up this evening by carrying out our own investigation of this building. We can't actually get inside the building because there is a metal grille behind us and it has a roof. But there's enough space for me here to reach forward into the structure with a camcorder and perhaps may be able to pick up something interesting. The other story is about really a ghoul. And this ghoul is a man with no eyes and no mouth, but just black holes for sockets, and has a two-dimensional face. And his face, according to legend, has appeared on the ground floor and upper floor levels. And I believe 20 years ago, somebody walking through here at night actually saw this face leering at them from the ground floor, and they fled in terror. Whether or not tonight we will encounter this spirit, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure we should pick up some good quality EVP at this location and perhaps some other strange apparitions. Hearing whispering all the time, whispering, and I think that's somebody following us. Can I tell you what this is? What I think this is.
Okay, cool.
They used to be called garde-robes, and basically they're toilet chutes. So on the upper floor, if anybody was using this as a toilet, it would come directly down this chute and be deposited down the bottom here for clearing up the following day. And of course the lowest of the low were employed to do those kind of jobs. But I think this is the remains of a garde-robe. Interesting. We've now returned back to Thetford's Warren Lodge on the edge of Thetford Forest. It's not too cold, it's quite nice. It's certainly very, very quiet. There's a lot of activity around us as far as nature. We actually seen what we think is a deer on the way through. And what we intend to do is to video around this building and also perhaps a little bit into the forest. I've just had a look inside through the grill, and there's certainly a strong energy here, so I'm hopeful that we're going to pick up something really worth sharing with you. So let's crack on with our investigation. Anything, Tim?
Nothing, really.
Yeah, I'm not getting anything just then, but when I first poked this in, I'll do it where you are. There's nothing there. When I first poked this through, I've got a massive wall, as you folks can see here. Right on the bottom right corner. I'm not sure about the rest, I have to check through.
Oh, nothing particular.
And I'm sure I saw a light up there. But nothing on here.
No, I'm actually filming you at the moment, Chris.
Okay. Just doing some shots.
There's actually a doorway next to you.
Yep, up to the next floor. But everything here, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nothing but after that, just that one big hall. If anything, what you should be doing is standing away from the building so you can get as much in view that the light will permit you to have. That would be a better way of doing it. Walking around the outskirts that way. And then you do the same the other side. I'll get some shots. Yeah, got a light at the top in one of the windows and all. I love these windows, these slits in the stonework. I'm feeling an irritation about us now. I just took a picture inside, and the instant of actually taking it, I felt this tremendous irritation, an impertinence that we are taking photographs or creating light, shall we say, inside that building. I just get the impression that somebody would rather we kept it quiet, and of course we will do, and we're not staying here forever, but it's a very strong irritation, to say the very least. But we're just going to keep wandering around the outskirts of this building. There isn't a great deal of other places to go to. We're actually in the middle of a large clearing from the forest, so we're not right on the edge of the forest.
but it's interesting. I'm picking up a name. First of all, I thought the surname was something like Tabone or Tarbone, but the name I'm picking up is William Taverner. William Taverner. Whether he was one of the Warreners here, the rabbit hunters, I don't know. But the name is striking me very, very strongly at the moment as William Taverner. I'm picking up something. I just want to find out what it is. Can you show yourself, please? I can feel you. I know you're here. I haven't come here to cause you any inconvenience. Well, at least I hope I'm not causing you that. I've just come here to make friendly and peaceful contact with you. It's very difficult with these bars, but literally. Can you tell me your name, please? Is it William Taverner? That's one of the fireplaces, and then that's the fireplace on the upper deck. Doesn't really give you a lot of scope here, Tim, does it?
Well, no, but if there's original activity, then you're still, there's nowhere else we can't. There's nowhere we can't get to apart from we can't go inside. You know.
No, yeah, it's just the bars are an inconvenience. Please, could you say something? One of these windows is where a face appears. Well, some of them are window eyes where they are no more than arrow slits, so you're never going to see a face there. Basically a mini fort, isn't it?
Yeah. Fortified farms they have in the north. Protect the hares coming down.
It's, you know, it's accommodation with a military purpose. But you're not fighting other armies, you're fighting thieves and brigands. please, could you say something? Could you make a noise? Could you give us some indication of your presence, please? Oh, I can feel someone in there. Here.
Still quite strong.
Use that battery, I'll just stick it in my pocket for a minute, save you. Let's step back out just for a second. What are we actually... How are we doing for time, Tim?
I think it's quarter to 11. I think it's quarter to 11. I think it's quarter to 11.
Still feels light, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's quarter to 11. But I don't think you're going to lose all of that, are you? You've got the yellow light with Thetford going, this reflection of the cloud. You don't lose that.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Look, I'm just going to step out here a little bit further.
Yeah, maybe feel a little bit strange, really.
What did?
Oh, it's strange, you know.
What, the building?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
In what way did it make you
Well,
feel?
just that there seems to be a bit of a...
You felt lightheaded?
A pressure, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's very, very active.
Yeah, I just felt pressure towards the right-hand side, actually, where, the right-hand side of the lower fireplace. It's a lovely building.
It is a beautiful building.
It's right, isn't it?
So those that inhabit this wonderful building, I do understand how much many of those in spirit want to return back to the places they knew in life, and they certainly do not want to be interfered with. And I haven't come to do that, and I do understand. I'm just here to try and make a measured contact level with you, and I have no intentions of returning, so I'm just but a visitor. And I'm not a child, I haven't come here to cause a nuisance, and I know that you've obviously suffered with that in the past. And I know that the world upon which I live in is nothing like the world from which you came. I wondered if anybody here had met the prior of Thetford. Because you supplied his kitchen. I get the impression, that with the Warreners, there was always a military presence here, I'm picking up men at arms. Yeah. A couple of soldiers. It's very difficult through these bars to really, for anyone watching, to get a really good appraisal of what is actually here. And all I can give you, and I do apologise, are just snippets through these bars. But as you can see with the wind eyes around, it was definitely a fortified tower. Some over the centuries have become bigger, others are still in their original format. I'll give you an idea of the thickness of these walls, look. Amazingly strong building. And all for the humble rabbit. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, that's all Roman tile they've used in there. Well, they've done a really neat job, haven't they? And if you look at the bottom here, you can just capture somewhere on here the edge of worked stone, like a Norman archway. So this must have been quite decorative in its heyday. Yeah, I'm picking up 2 soldiers here, 2 men at arms, and maybe 3 other men, the Warreners, and also dogs. Dogs too, yeah. Small terrier dogs. It's a really intriguing place, isn't it? Uh-oh, something weird just went up the wall.
Is it?
Yep, a light form. I hope it was. It may have been a moth, but yeah, on the right it seemed like a streak, and then I saw a moth, so I'm not so sure, but certainly I'll check it on the film.
Imagine if you spent any time here, it's a building you could fall in love with, you know?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's a very charming place. It has a certain atmosphere, and to think that, you know, where I'm standing here, I'm actually in part of it. So I'm actually standing inside a medieval building, and this would have been used for prayer as well, Tim.
Yeah.
There would have been a small chapel area for prayer. Such was the requirements of the day. Yeah, I'm not seeing much. I'm certainly feeling, but I'm not seeing as much as I expected to. I think what we'll do now, I think we'll call it quits and make our way back to the car. It's a very, very dodgy ground here. We're walking across a sand pit, so you can imagine how dangerous it is underfoot, but we can do it. Thank you very much for joining us today. It's been wonderful to have you on board with us, and to our next adventure somewhere, sometime next month. I will say from me, goodbye.